Could this be the end of an era? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, then please do me a favour and hit that subscribe button. So the off season, the world of the NFL that never seems to end is well and truly in swing of things. The Browns have released some guys. Other teams have released some guys. There's guys available for trade. All the good stuff that we get this early on in the off season. It's why we love the NFL. But today I just wanted to hop on here, quickly talk about some of the guys that the Browns have released, as well as some of the comments made by General Manager Andrew Berry only a couple of hours ago as of recording. So pretty fresh, response to his comments, which is what I will start with. If you haven't seen his comments on Nick Chubb, this is what he had to say today.
I do expect Nick to hit the market. Obviously his contract is up this year. We'll meet with his reps and everything like that. But it's something that obviously we need to work on over the next couple of weeks.
So Andrew Berry, the Browns will let Nick Chubb, it seems, enter free agency. They're not going to re-sign him before free agency starts and prevent him from going into free agency. They're going to let him go and test his market. And I think, a lot of people might view this as the Browns doing a disservice to Nick Chubb. But personally, for me, I think, they've had these conversations with Nick. They know what number they're comfortable bringing him back on. It's probably not the best number, let's be honest. I've been trying my hardest to prepare people on this channel for this, eventual possibility that Chubb might not be here. Even if he was here, I have also tried to make it clear that it's probably not going to be in the same capacity that we once knew. Unfortunately, I do think the injuries he suffered over the last 2 years, factor in his age as well. I hate to say it, but I think we've seen the best of Nick Chubb. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't contribute to a team, not by any means. I certainly think he can, just not as the number one top 5 running back in the league. So, as I was saying, I think they've had these discussions with Nick. They know what number they're willing to bring him back at. So, they've let him now go and test the market in free agency, go and see if he can get more money than that, maybe, more years on the contract as well, more guaranteed money, whatever it is. Give Nick the opportunity to go and see if he can go and get one last payday, shall we say. The world of an NFL running back, it's very short. We all know this. You can't really blame these guys for wanting to make the money when they can. So I think the Browns are actually doing Nick a service by doing this. As I said, I think they are comfortable bringing him back. They probably know the number already. They've probably told Nick what number they'd be willing to bring him back at. So now it's just they're going to let him enter free agency. He can go and test the market. He can go and see if he can get a better deal, more money, more years, more guaranteed money. Because if he can, as much as we would all love to see Nick Chubb finish his career in Cleveland, retire in Cleveland, I can't hate him for wanting to go and earn one final payday to, essentially set his family up for generations to come. If that's the possibility he can go and secure. So it's of course going to be an emotional topic for a lot of fans. I mean, I've got the jersey on, as I'm sure with a lot of you. Nick Chubb is probably my favourite offensive player ever. And it really does suck having to kind of swallow the pill of these last 2 years. But it's the NFL. You've got to be realistic. And I just think this is where we're at with Chubb. I've said it before on here. This isn't me coming out of the blue with this. I don't think that Nick Chubb is going to be able to be the version of Nick Chubb he was before. I still want to bring him back, of course. I'd love to bring him back. Have him as in that backfield with Jerome Ford, maybe another guy behind, a draft pick or someone like that. I'm sure he can more than contribute in that circumstance. But it's just having to accept that it's no longer going to be Nick Chubb that we, know and loved. as a player in terms of performance-wise. It's still the same Nick Chubb. Of course it is. He's still going to work harder than everyone else. But it's just coming to grips with that. And I know that a lot of people are going to react to this negatively. They're going to think, oh my God, how could you let Nick Chubb walk and all of this stuff? And I think even if that is what they were doing, you've just got to understand that it's the NFL. We can't, I wish that we could keep all of our favourite players, but in the end of the day, that's not what winning teams do. You don't just, keep guys because you like them. You keep guys on the roster because you think they can contribute. And as I said, he can contribute, but maybe not at the number that he's willing to come back for or that he could get somewhere else. So that's my thoughts on Nick Chubb. This doesn't mean that he's not coming back. I think if he's to test the market and he only gets, an offer that's mildly better than he would have got at the Browns, I would see him coming back to the Browns. I don't think he's going to mule over $1 million. If it's an extra million or something like that, I think he'd still come back to the Browns. It's only a matter of if he can get, a substantial deal somewhere else to, give him that one last payday to finish his career. But of course, fingers crossed, I hope it all works out. I hope he can come back on a number that they can both agree with, that both sides are happy with. And that obviously, this all works out. That is, of course, the hope. But as I said, I've been trying to prepare you guys for this on my channel, mentioning it here and there. I kind of knew this was coming, and it does make it easier, but it still does suck. Of course it does. Moving on to some of the cuts that we've had. So the second longest tenured Brown. I thought he was the longest. I really did. Joel Bitonio, fair play. That must have been by an extra few months. Obviously the draft, and then we must have signed Charlie later on in the year. But second longest tenured Brown, long snapper Charlie Hewlett. Overall, great guy. I'm sure all of you know he's been here for, as long as some people have been fans of this team. It's been that long. 10 years with the team. He was a team captain, a true leader in the locker room, despite being a long snapper, which a lot of people might take the piss out of. But hey, Bill Belichick certainly values a long snapper, and he's got 6 Super Bowls, so they must be valuable, at least in some capacity. Why have the Browns done this? It's not money. He was getting the league minimum this year. It's not a money thing. They're not cutting their long snapper to save money. That would be a crazy statement to say for any team. I think, we've got to cut the long snapper, guys. We're a bit low on funds. But so it's nothing to do with money. Don't worry about that. It's not because they're scraping at the barrel to try and find some pennies. That's not the case at all. I think it's purely just given his age, given where he's at in his career. He only played, I think, 5 games last year before he got hurt, and Rex came in from the UFL, funnily enough, from the team that I picked to support in the UFL and actually followed last year. So it was quite a cool moment for me to see him get signed. But he played well. He played more than fine, held that role down. And I think they're just probably going to just roll with that. Charlie's probably coming to the end of his career, even as a long snapper. I know that sounds, again, crazy to say, but he is getting on a bit. I think they've just decided to go in a new direction. They've got Rex there now. They'll probably bring in an undrafted free agent, or just any kind of guy, any kind of undrafted free agent, or UFL player after this upcoming spring season, maybe as competition with Rex. But I probably expect Rex to get the job and be the team's long snapper for 2025. Which, guys, you can take the piss, but Bill Belichick said it's an important position. It must be an important position. Finally, one that I think, I've had some bad news with Nick Chubb, and we all have. In terms of announcing some bad news. And Charlie Hewlett, you could argue, he is a team captain. He's been here 10 plus years. You could argue it sucks to see him go, which it does. And I will just make sure I do say that in case I forgot to. It does suck to see Charlie go. But this last one, I think, is one that will probably provide a lot more joy than disappointment to most fans. So, safety Juan Thornhill has been released. Again, the writing was on the wall. I think we all knew this was coming. I've been saying this all off season that he is going to get released, and that's not because I've got a magic 8 ball. Everyone has been saying this as well. That's not me trying to take credit for it. He's just not worked out in Cleveland. And before I go into it, I know a lot of people can throw shade at Andrew Berry for this, and I don't want to be accused of being some Andrew Berry. I'm never ever going to criticise Andrew Berry. I've made it very clear all the things that I criticise Andrew Berry on. But this is not something everyone was excited when we brought Juan Thornhill in. We thought, wow, that's a clear upgrade over John Johnson. That is a Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl experience, young, in the prime of his career, safety that has played well in the NFL. We were all ecstatic about it, and you can pretend that you weren't, but we were all happy about the move when we made the move. It didn't work out. Some things don't in the NFL. Not every move does, and this is certainly one that didn't work out. It was bad. There was plenty of bad plays in there, plenty of accusations of taking plays off. I think he only played 11 games in both years with us, so missed multiple games in both years here. It just didn't work out with Thornhill, and it's nothing too much against him. I don't hate him as a player. He just clearly wasn't the player that we needed in the system that we were running. And I've said it on here before. Again, with mentioning that he will be released. I'm kind of done now with the bringing in a veteran free agent at safety. Let's just draft someone. Let's just develop someone next to Grant Delpit, because as I mentioned, we brought in John Johnson. That was a disaster. We then brought in Juan Thornhill. That's been a bit of a disaster. Good contracts as well. It's not like we've brought these guys in cheap. We've given these guys pretty good money, and they've come in and been poor for us. So I think we should probably end that route of trying to address the free safety position. It's safety, I've mentioned on before in some of my draft videos. It's one of those wildcard positions for me this draft. I think they're going to target it, and I think they're going to target it fairly high. And this is part of the reason why. They've tried multiple swings at this. They've tried different free agents. They've tried different guys. It's not worked. Let's try and draft and develop someone that can be a partner next to Grant Delpit for at least the next few years. That's what I expect them to do, and that's what I hope them to do. So that's all the news we've had so far. As we got the NFL Combine coming up this week. I will be doing a video on that. By the time that's over, a couple of days roll past, and it's free agency starts, and then a couple of days it seems roll past, and the draft starts, and all of that good stuff. Never seems like you get any time off in the NFL off season apart from that little period in June. But that's why we love the sport. That's why I love the sport. Not many things I enjoy more than talking about the Browns, and so keep the news coming. Keep the news coming. Hopefully good news, not bad news, but I'll be here to talk about it, nevertheless. And finally, before I go, in his kind of little, it wasn't a press conference, it was a little interview he did, Andrew Berry, he did also touch on Myles Garrett. This is the first time that he's spoken in public since his press conference before the trade request came out. He just reiterated what I've been saying, what Jack Duffin's been saying, what everyone's been saying. They're not going to trade Myles. Why would they trade Myles? He has 2 years left on his contract, potentially 2 franchise tags. That's 4 years of control. You've got him for $19 million next year. Pennies on the dollar for Myles Garrett. It would cost you more money to trade him. It makes no sense. The Browns have absolutely no reason to do it. Myles can do all the talks. He can do all the media tours. He doesn't really have any leverage in this situation. He knows that. That's why he's acted the way he has. They've made it clear they're not going to trade him. So I think Myles just needs to kind of swallow this and figure it out. But that would do it for me today, guys. As I said, just wanted to kind of hop on here quickly, give my thoughts on Andrew Berry's comments, give my thoughts on the couple of cuts that we've made so far. As I said, any news that does drop, I'll be here. I'll be reacting to it, talking about it, giving my thoughts on it. But if you do enjoy my content, guys, then please drop this video a like, hit the subscribe button. It's free, but it really, really helps out my channel. You can also hit the links in the description to see where you can follow and interact with me on social media. I'm trying to build a community of Cleveland Browns fans, and as I always say, even if I only get to talk to one fan a day, I'm happy because I'm talking Browns football with the best fan base in the world. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have an amazing week. Enjoy the combine, but most importantly, go Browns.